Hola, Minasan! Welcome back for another round of Undead Unluck. Last time, everyone found Unknown, and she has the power to make drawings, and they found Autumn, and Autumn is a JoJo villain because just like my man JoJo, he makes a book out of your face or some other part of your body while simultaneously eating up humans and then giving birth to Uma spiders, to Uma bugs, and now they, with the help of Unknown, Fumiko got yeeted out, soul got yeeted out of her body, and stuffed into a book where she's now going through Annie's memories, which goes all the way up in the stratosphere somehow. It's like in the form of a book, and it goes out into the freaking space and everything. And well, she basically found young Andy, a very very young Andy, a very different Andy. And she's going to find out at least a piece of his past, maybe not the entirety of his past, but she at least got a point in his past to understand him. So let's find out what that past is. And get reading. Let's get reading. I stumbled on that one, didn't I? Yes, I did. I stumbled on that. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Chapter number 041. Couldn't care less about pain. Fuko was shocked to see herself in the arms of a very young cowboy Andy as he checked on her to make sure she wasn't injured. He looked very calmly at her as he held tight to her shoulder and looked deeply down at her.
Andy, that's you, isn't it, Andy? Where are we? What year is it?
We're only a little ways out from Longing. You're speaking Japanese. You from there?
Oh my god, I knew I could count on you, Andy.
Fuko said with tears in her eyes.
You can speak Japanese in this era.
Who's this Andy you've been going on about? He asked.
Oh, right, I forgot. You don't have a name. You don't have that name yet.
Suddenly, a woman grabbed Fuko and pulled her up to her feet. Her face was angered and and was ready to beat up Fuko.
Just how long you gonna stay latched to the captain? Huh? You can speak Japanese too? My hair. You didn't touch my hair just now, did it?
Josh, calmed down and listened and listened on to the conversation.
Oh no, what now? A stroke of unluck is on the way. Unluck? What are you talking about?
Josh said.
Oh, jeez. At least it was just a light stroke.
Fuko watched the bird poop land on Josh's head as the bird flew off in the distance. But Josh pulled out a gun and held it to her head as Fuko's arms were pulled around her back.
You just predicted that, didn't you? You a witch? Surely seem like one. All right, I better kill you now. Eek!
Fuko screamed, and she thought to herself,
Crap. I just found Andy. I can't die yet. Gotta explain. Gotta earn their trust.
And she immediately spoke in brackets.
Left shoulder, dead end. Left chest, 1865. My name is Fuko Izumi. I know your future.
Everyone was shocked at listening to her in brackets. To which Guile behind Andy said, "Why does this girl know about your tattoos, Captain?"
Say what? What kind of relationship do you have with the captain? Well,
she said as she tightened her grip on Fuko's wrist.
Come on, let's go eat.
Come on, let's go eat, Andy said. Moments later, in the town of Longing, Lots of children were hugging their families as they were all saved from the desperados. Inside the saloon, the waitress brought drinks and food, and spoke in brackets.
Are you sure you only want food?
Yeah, don't fret, just food and booze for now. Fuko, eating away with everyone, smiled at Josh.
You speak Japanese so well. Don to it. Picked it up from the captain. I want to go meet some samurai and learn that quick draw slashing stuff.
The waitress smiled with her child in arms.
If you like, we have plenty of this town's famous brew, although it might be a little too strong for outsiders. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Josh said.
Sounds like a challenge to the I'm game.
To which Andy and their friend and his friend said, "Oh yeah, count us in." Yeah. Fuko called out to Andy and asked him a question.
So, what is it you all do, Andy?
A lot of places are in bad shape, he said and took a sip of beer. Now that the Civil War's over, so we float from place to place, being up fools up to no good and getting thanked for our efforts like this.
Huh? The Civil War? What year was that again?
Fuko thought to herself as Josh pointed at Andy and spoke.
That's just a front, you know. And you know it. You know the real deal. The captain here has no memory of the past, you see? That's why he's been roaming around the world. He's been hoping to run into someone who knows who he is. As for us three, he met us over the course of his journey and saved us all from the trouble. Now we're helping him the best we can. Which leads me to my point.
Fuko listened on.
You better not be lying about the captain, you know, or you're dead meat.
She pointed at Fuko with ready to flick the fork into her head. Fuko became frustrated, and Andy spoke gently. All of you, settle down. She won't tell us anything if you threaten her like that. Fuko, right? How do you know about my tattoos? Fuko swallowed her food and replied,
How?
And suddenly guns blazed right at her and were ready to fire.
Oh my gosh, everybody's gone gangster all of a sudden. Okay, in the future, you're almost always nude from the waist up.
And everyone went silent.
Huh?
I never do that.
But it's the truth. I don't know the reason behind it, but if I had to guess, I'd say that living as an undead for so long must have warped your sense of values about going shirtless at some point. Though I do have to admit, your bazillion abs are impressive. But still, it's a society we live in. Oh, and also, in the future, use the katana. And you use your fingers as a gun to... What? Back up?
Josh said.
Undead?
She asked as she leaned a little closer to Fuko, freaking her out.
Yes. Wait, huh? Aha!
Josh said.
The captain may heal from wounds lickily split, but he ain't no dang zombie. Oh, I get it.
Fuko thought.
Andy isn't aware of his undead powers yet. Andy, let me join your crew.
And everyone froze in place.
Nothing I'm saying is making you trust me anymore, right? Then let me risk my life right alongside you on your journey. I can gain your trust, get stronger, and learn more about you, Andy. It's killing 3 birds with 1 stone. How do you know that euphemism?
So Andy immediately pulled out his 6-shooter, started loading it up. He put in 1 single bullet. What bullet? He said. 1 shot. And he presented it to her. Aim at your head and pull. If you lose, I'll let you join my crew.
Nice. First induction test in a while.
Josh smiled as she took the gun from Andy and handed it over to Fuko. And without hesitation, Fuko put the gun to her head and pulled back on the hammer. And multiple times, She began flicking, began pulling the hammer over and over and over again until Josh got up and slapped her upside the head.
Why, little? Are you out of your dang mind? Ouch! It wasn't loaded, right? Granted, you did make it look convincing.
Fuko said as she looked over at Andy.
Even if there was only a 1 in 6 chance, Dan I know would never do that to someone who's not a fighter.
And Andy slightly nodded as he held that one bullet in his fingers.
Thank goodness. I guess you're still the same Andy after all.
And Andy raised one eyebrow. Josh, however, turned Fuko around in anger.
What would you have done if there was actually a bullet in there? Oh, it happened fine. I know Andy. Oh, sure, but what if? Just fine,
she said, and growled, and they growled at each other. So Josh calmed down and faced the table with a smile on her face.
Well, anyway, I like the cut of her jib. I say we let her join the gang. Oh.
And suddenly, 3 desperados fired bullets at everybody. Josh immediately pulled Fuko down, and the big guy threw his arm out to shield the bullets. And he took a whole bunch to the back and just slumped over. They're all dead, Desperado 1 said. Yep, Desperado 2 said. That was light work, Desperado 3 said. Desperado 1 entered the saloon. Hey, saloon women, you did good. You got plenty drunk just like we planned. They were sitting ducks.
All right. And you'll keep your end of the bargain?
Oh, we will. We won't go mess with the kids anymore. And Andy stayed slumped as he overheard the whole entire thing.
Fuko,
Josh said.
Miss Josh, you protected me?
She Fuko turned around onto her back and listened to Josh's words.
In the future, the captain, he doing well? Doesn't look like he's in pain? No.
Fuko said with the tears welling up in her eyes.
He's fine. Great, in fact. Great. Great.
She said.
Glad to hear it.
And that was the end of Josh, as the other 2 teammates laid on the floor with gun wounds in their head, and Andy with his wounds searing out and healing itself.
Sanders, I'll be borrowing these.
He took the 2 axes from big man Sanders and walked right on out the door quietly.
I'll be right back. Andy!
Fuko rushed out the door.
I didn't know what learning about Andy meant, but now I do.
As she heard the sounds of chopping outdoors, she stood in the middle of the street and saw Andy standing over the desperados with the axes in hand, covered in blood.
It meant learning about the many times he's had to say goodbye.
Fuko realized.
I see. Now that I know I can't die, that I'm undead, it makes more sense to get in close. If I ain't gonna die, I couldn't care less about the pain,
he said as he struggled to hold back his tears.
And so it was my duty,
Fuko said, crying for Andy,
to witness each one with my own eyes.
To be continued. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca, chapter number 042. As long as they don't forget. Fuko resisted, held her tears up to her eyes and not letting a single one drop. As Andy laid his shovel onto his shoulder and looked down at the graves. He spoke to Fuko.
Sorry I made you give me a hand. No, it's fine,
she said.
It was the least I could do, seeing how Miss Josh saved me.
She wiped the tears off her face as they stood before the grave markers of Andy's friends.
The three of them were good people. Far too good for me, in fact. Pardon?
The bartender said, and tears began falling down her face.
This is my fault for following their plan. I was in your debt and I still went through with it. I'll atone for what I've done, so please, forgive the others. Miss Saloon Manager,
Fuko said, as Andy was absolute silent. He took his first step and approached her.
I see. Andy?
Fuko said, and started pulling on Andy to slow him down.
Wait, Andy, she didn't do it because she wanted to. Let go.
And Andy walked past her, then presented a pair of bottles. 3, in fact.
Every year, on this day, pour this beer Anheuser puts out on their graves. Every time they put out a new one, pour it out. Till the day you die. And don't you skip a single one. Oh no. Do that, and those 3 won't blame you for what you did.
To which the bartender bowed like a Japanese woman and said,
Yes, I will. I swear to God. Let's go. Even though you're American, I admire your ability to bow like a Japanese woman. You will do great honor, lady. Now let's go, Fuko. Okay.
and Andy and Fuko hopped on the horse and rode out of Longing.
You sure are kind. How so?
He said as they continued through the desert.
You know, for going easy on that lady. She's such a nice person that she probably would have kept blaming herself. But then you gave her a way to make amends. You're giving me too much credit. I would have shot her in the head any other day if it wasn't for that lousy kid acting as a shield. That's why I couldn't even do anything. Besides, it's better to let her suffer. Nothing more, nothing less. I see.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, hold on a second. Repeat that.
I just want her to suffer. Nothing more, nothing less. I see. So, hey, is it okay to assume I'm part of your crew now? What's that? What are you talking about? I'm dropping you off at the nearest town and booting you off my life. Hold on, that wasn't part of the deal. I passed your test, didn't I? Alright, then the crew is disbanded. Wait a second. You're cheating. No, I'm not. And from then on, I traveled with Annie on his journey. We ran into and parted ways with many people.
Fuko narrated as they fired guns in the canyon on the desperados.
It felt like eons had passed in the blink of an eye.
Fuko, what is she holding on to? Fuko held on to something as Andy walked by her with his bazillion abs exposed.
Almost as if I was dreaming.
She started firing out at the desperados as Andy swung his axes at them.
It was a strange experience, like I'd become a character in some sort of book. But during all that, Annie never cracked a smile.
Fuko prayed to the dead that they were with during the snowy years, the snowy months. She looked up at Andy, still holding on to her tears for the dead, as he just stared blankly at the graves.
And he never once talked about his past.
Time has passed by, and she sat before 2 women with beer steins in hand. One of them smiled.
Luck in the gator? What are you talking about, Miss Fuko? It'd be dangerous if I didn't fill you newcomers in now, I guess.
So she put a light poke on. She poked lightly on their wrists, and they watched on, wondering what the heck she's doing.
If I wanted until after we get to know each other, you'd both end up seriously hurt after all. One stroke of unluck coming up.
And suddenly, the chair collapsed on one of the women, causing her to fall over. while the waitress accidentally spilled beer on the other woman.
Whoa! Ah, sorry.
The waitress said. And she sat, and as the newcomer sat soaked in beer, Fuko smiled.
Well, that does it for the rite of passage. I'll go bring Andy his food. Yeah, sure. Here's hoping the captain doesn't feel you up. Andy!
Fuko sat outside as he sat before a lake. He drinking into his Amheiser Busch.
I know you'd be out here. I brought you dinner. You're eating tonight, right? Quit calling me that when my men are around, Fuko. Oh, come on. Where's the harm? I just gave them the unluck ritual a second ago. You see, Mr. Ash... Wait, let me guess. Ash got a little dirty, and Camus's chair broke and dropped him on his ass. Oh, wow. You guessed right.
Oh, those are guys. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Ash is always staring at my chest. I can't stand it. Mr. Camus doesn't do that. What's so great about these things anyway? Oh, hey,
she said, smiling at Andy.
Is that a new brew? Yeah. It's apparently called Budweiser. They were good stuff. Then Miss Josh and the others must be drinking it around now too. Fuko? What? What do you think it means to die?
What the heck is... I feel like something's crawling my leg here. Sorry about that.
I personally think it's when your brain stops thinking. Thinking means you can challenge.
He said as he remembered his time with Miss Josh and the crew.
Thinking means you can change.
They were all smiles as they walked past him.
I think when a person can't do that anymore,
he said as the bartender poured the beer on their graves.
That's when they're dead. I don't quite agree with that,
Fuko said and took another bite of her food.
In my opinion,
Andy listened on.
You only truly die when people stop remembering you. I lost my parents in an accident. No,
Fuko said.
I killed them with my ability by accident, along with a bunch of other people. I thought that not being able to see them anymore meant they were dead. But now I don't think so. After all, both my mom and dad and my dad have always been in my heart.
Andy started soaking in her words.
Constantly telling me that it wasn't my fault. And telling me that if I keep living, something wonderful will happen one day. Sure, it might be just a fantasy that I made up to escape from the weight of my sins. But my mom and dad have always helped me out even to this day. That's why I don't feel like they're dead yet. I mean, of course I can't meet them in the flesh, but I'm sure that Miss Josh and the others are alive and well inside of you, Andy. Huh?
And her smile collapsed as she saw Andy smile with glee.
Yeah, I sure hope they are.
And Fuko smiled even greater.
You finally smiled.
She slapped his shoulder.
Boy, all that hard work I did finally paid off. It was so worth it.
Andy held her hand gently.
1865, April 15th, Washington, D.C.,
he said.
That's my oldest memory.
Whoa.
Now that I've told you, you'll go there, right? Huh? I'll be fine. As long as I don't forget.
He started leaning closer to his lips, and Fuko paused in place.
I won't ever be alone.
Oh my gosh, is that what I think that is? That date? Is that date what I think that is? Oh man. Fuko immediately pulled her hat down.
No.
She said, as Andy waited.
The one I love is you, but not you at the same time. So I don't think we should be doing that right now. Oh.
She blushed. as she realized what she just said.
Did I just?
She looked up at Andy with innocent eyes.
That I love you?
You did. But that aside, Fuko, you're starting to fade away.
Whoa, what is this? Am I going someplace else now? Andy?
She smiled as she leaned close to him as she slowly vanished.
Yeah?
144 years from now, on August 1st, 2020, we'll meet at Shinjuku Station.
She smiled as her tears welled up.
I'll try to run away from you, but make sure you catch me.
She said as tears fell down her eyes.
I'll kiss you on that day, so be sure not to forget.
And Andy smiled with glee.
As long as
I don't forget.
He saw as Fumiko vanished in thin air.
Then people won't die. Sick. Wicked sick!
To be continued. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Chapter number 043, Deadline. Unknown sat before the giant book of Andy, with Autumn, the drawing of Autumn's nail held up by her hand. As the debris started collapsing, as the debris began collapsing from the ceiling, she spoke.
Oh. Oh, he's experiencing a second life. A hypothetical one where he first met Fuko long ago. Mon chéri. Of course, this won't alter his actual life, but the memories of what if will remain with him are the same. I am positive those memories will strengthen his heart,
she said, with a smile. And a short-haired woman stood before unknown.
So if you interrupt this, I'll have to kill you, my little guys from under. Oh ho ho. Ho ho ho. Vive la France.
Fuko, meanwhile, in the book of Andy, according to Fuko, she found herself before a big building. Before a big building, people walking by along the street on the sidewalk. She was shocked at where she stood at.
Where am I?
She looked around, and her eyes grew wide.
Victor!
Oh, from this point on, these are my memories,
he said.
Now leave!
Well, part of them may belong to you,
she said to the towering, long-haired, suited monster.
But they're Andy's also. I need to know what happened here.
She pulled out a gun, going full gangster mode, and aimed it at him.
I have to find out or else.
Unnecessary,
Victor said. And he pointed his finger right at her temple.
Killing you means he weakens. This is the perfect chance.
He pressed into her hat.
I'll use the gap to assume control. I suggest you try your best to escape before you meet your end.
And Fuko collapsed onto the floor and found herself in the middle of a desert valley with mountains in the background and barely a tree in sight.
This is where I met past Andy. Why am I here again?
And she looked up, and the finger bullet aimed right at her and fired off.
Huh?
She was back on the floor. This time outside the forest. She looked all over the place and saw a newspaper. It had the number 1876 and Budweiser written all over it.
Am I at a later point in time?
She thought.
Every time you die, you proceed to the next chapter.
Victor said as he walked slowly towards her.
This book has events logged until December 2020. I'm going to keep killing you until I drive you to the end. Then I'll snuff out your soul while it's still in the book.
And he aimed his finger at her again.
Curse your misfortune for ever meeting him. Unluck.
And he fired multiple times, pushing her through the chapters of the book of Andy, until she finally opened her eyes, breathing heavily.
Huff, huff.
And she looked up and realized where she was.
Shinjuku. Ah! Hey, mister, what year and month is this?
Her? 2020, August
Thank you.
And she ran off before he could finish.
If what Victor said is true, then this is my only chance. I can't die yet. I can't afford to die. I still haven't given you anything in return.
She said as tears welled up in her eyes, desperately looking for Andy.
Andy!
And the entire crowd looked at her as Victor stood perched atop of a building with arms wide open, like a Creed music video.
Searching would take too long, so I'll kill you all at once.
He immediately slapped his fingers together and blood splurted out. and with a smile on his face of demonic proportions, he stretched his arms across, spreading the blood into fine strips of rope.
Deadline!
He pulled it back, looking like wings in the sky, and then he flicked it like a whip, slicing the buildings, the top of the buildings into pieces, and every person within that within those floors died a horrific death. Everybody screaming as they're all falling and collapsing, bodies slicing in half, trains slicing like butter, all clean slices, and debris collapsing in place, smoke and fire billowing out of the city. And Victor stood right on top of the debris, looking out at the rubble.
And now Unluck is dead. Missing today's encounter means she'll never be able to meet him again. Just you wait, Tues. This time, for certain, I will.
I'm not dead?
Fuko said as she shivered. And in her found herself within the arms of Andy, who was twisting his arm 180 degrees multiple times. Victor looked unimpressed. "Twist!" he said, and smiled as he raised it up and aimed it into the sky. It began spinning and spinning and spinning until it launched off like a drill, heading straight for Victor.
You fool! This measly bullet can't... Vortex bullet!
The bullet, Victor struggled to hold onto the bullet, but it was so powerful, so sharp, it sliced right through his body and exposed his guts. "Sick! Wicked sick!" Andy said as he held his newly regenerated fist in the air with a smile on his face and caressing a crying Fuko in his arms. To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca, number 044. Undead versus Undead. As Andy Jojo poses with Fuko in his arms, smiling with glee, Victor shattered into paste and floated in the air. Fuko screamed,
Wow, Andy!
and tears fell down her cheeks as Andy pulled her in closer.
Well, 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 look who turned into a big crybaby.
I can't help it. I mean, come on. I'm sorry for clinging to you like this, but my own luck will get you.
All you gotta do is not let go, yeah. Just cling on. Let those breasts press it to me. I want them bodacious knockers.
All right. Wait, what?
Now back to him.
Victor landed as his body regenerated fully and stared down as he stared down at Andy as he pulled onto his tie. And he spoke.
So that's the Victor you talked about a while back. My main personality.
Victor dropped down and landed right before them.
Well, guess this is our first formal meeting of the minds. So tell me why you're targeting Fuko,
he said.
Because that woman is trying to sneak peeks into my past, meaning she seems rather eager to die. But this plays to my favor,
Victor said.
I have business on the outside. There's someone I need to kill once I get out. You see, that woman isn't a resident of the book, so killing her a few more times will extinguish her soul. And since the you on the outside is so dependent on her, I can use your moment of weakness to assume control. In short,
Victor concluded,
killing her is my ticket to the outside. Listen, the me on the outside, I don't know what he thinks of this girl, but I do know that the guy you see here, the current me, he's changed, and it's thanks to her. That goes from my takes on death, my hopes for the future, you name it,
he said as Fuko smiled, listening to her, listening to the praise.
And that's why you see me here, the current me that is. I'm gonna deliver her to evil, amen. In the real world, you see, this girl's someone I need, and I'll defend her to the end. You don't say,
Victor said as he cracked his hands and made his fingers pull back, ripping open his flesh.
In that case,
he smiled as he fired every single bullet imaginable.
Suffer. Hang on tight.
Got it.
She held on to him like Yoda,
Dead Vulcan.
And multiple blasts fired, shattering every single building and glass. And Andy bounced off the side of the walls, avoiding every single strike. He continued on as every single Gatling finger bullet chased them down. As Andy smiled with Fuko with each leap he made.
Repair glide! He's accelerating his movement by repairing his coiled legs, and it's dramatically smoother than his repair-based movement in the past.
Victor thought in shonen talk.
Not bad,
He said out loud.
dead weight, but if you think I'll run out of energy, you'd best think.
And Andy slid right behind Victor, ready to strike. And when he threw his fist, he slid his finger, ripping his skin on the forearm from the forearm.
Oh,
Victor did the same thing across his knuckles, creating Wolverine blood claws. And suddenly, their blood took the form of solid blade. Dead blade! And they clashed. Sparks flew as the blood swords slid along the blood metal.
you've mastered solidifying your blood too, have you? I'm a blood bender.
And Andy swatted away the sword, Victor's blood sword.
He's boosting his speed by spraying blood from his joints. Meaning that woman has improved him this much, I see.
Victor analyzed as Andy made blood gush out of his elbows.
Be that as it may, you lack the proficiency,
Victor said, delivering another swing with Andy. And their blades clashed once again.
and your blade isn't sharp enough, dense enough,
Victor started breaking Andy's sword apart.
or powerful enough.
And he successfully separated the sword from Andy's forearm. Fuko, tuck in your legs, Annette! And she does so as Victor delivered his slash.
Deadline!
And Andy's leg split in half, and the debris got even more debris, and started collapsing into dust and pebbles.
That was a waste of time,
He said as he watched Andy's escape from the attack. Victor slowly cut his right forearm and created a cannon out of it. Andy did the same as he sliced his forearm, and blood splurted into Fuko's face.
Ah!
Dead road!
Victor screamed out as a geyser of blood. Oh no! Wait, is that who's firing? Is that Andy or? Never mind. It's both of them. They both screamed out, "Dead road! Dead road!" And their attacks clashed, pushing them both back along the ground. However, Victor was much more powerful as he slowly walked towards Andy, pushing him and his small geyser back.
You've learned some impressive tricks in a mere 200 years' time. However, if that's the best you can get out of both arms, this is all but over.
Fuko! Yeah?
She said as she struggled to hold on to Andy.
Let go of me pronto!
What? No, wait. If I let go, Andy, the unlock will...
Don't worry about it! Just trust me!
Fine.
Thanks to you, I've changed!
He smiled as he continues to slide backwards.
You're the one who helped shatter my narrow-minded views on life and death! So get out of here and relay the message to me on the outside! I've got more than enough unluck charged up, just leave the rest to me! I've got something I want to try!
Fuko blushed, closed her eyes, and immediately kissed his cheek.
Out?
He was shocked as she pulled back, and she jumped off.
Go get him, Andy!
She ran off with a blush in her face.
Yeah! Here it comes! Unluck bullet!
Andy smiled as his attack charged up. To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca, chapter number 045, Unluck Bullet. Last time on Undead Unluck, Andy was pushing back with his dead bullet against Victor's dead bullet, but Victor was pushing as he walked towards them, making Andy's undead giant bullet look smaller than before. Fuko kissed him in the cheek with a and then jumped off and ran away.
Go get him, Andy!
And now, on with our show. Victor was a little was unconcerned of what was happening as he continued pushing the geyser into Andy.
Unluck's special touch. A large stroke of unluck is coming soon. What a bother.
And he said as Andy prepped his right arm with finger bullets.
Should I blow him away?
Here it comes! Andy said with a smile.
Unluck bullet!
And 4 fingers fired off as he jumped up over the geyser. The geyser ripped through the whole ground as the finger bullets curved like the movie Wanted and aimed right for Victor's head.
What kind of stunt is this? You're throwing it all away. Just to shoot off some pieces of flesh?
He said as another set of bullets were coming from the other angle. He was flanked on both sides. Pincered attack. They started bouncing all over the place as Victor looked around wondering what's going on here.
They're remote controlled? They're still just fingers. They won't pierce through me. What is he, crazy? Is he stupid or something?
First index! And an explosion happened right in Victor's face. His skull, part of his skull was exposed.
Oh, I become Two-Face,
Victor said.
A gas explosion? A stroke of unluck?
He noticed the pipe smoldering with flames.
Why is it befalling me?
He's confused as he prepared to swing his sword, and Andy sliced his forearm once again, forming another blade. They clashed once more.
I loaded my soul into my fingers.
And Victor became nervous.
His soul into his fingers? He means the unluck is packed in his finger? Impossible. A stroke of unluck shall only affect his main body.
And he got hit in the chest. Second middle! And a train rolled out of nowhere and struck the both of them. Victor's head decapitated, as did Andy's, and they flew into the air.
Oh no, it got Andy too.
Fuko said as she watched the train derail into the debris.
Ah!
And and both heads started floating in the air.
You see, I saw Futurama. All we have to do is get a jar of gefilte fish, and we'll be able to swim in it. And I would always start repairing myself from my head, because I figured you need your brain to live.
He landed with a big smile on his face as their headless corpses collapsed onto the floor. However, Victor successfully landed on his head.
If you can't think, you're basically dead.
Victor calmed down as he listened to Andy's assessment.
A worthless preconception.
He was unimpressed, and didn't realize Andy popped up right behind him with his fist flying at him.
Yeah, that's why I changed. He repaired from his torso.
Suddenly, the twister punch connected with Victor's head. Twist, twist, and it sent Victor flying, spinning in the air.
When I met Fuko and journeyed with her, I learned to stop letting some crummy logic dictate my life, and instead learned that I could live in this world however I damn well please.
Fuko started hurrying over to Victor, to Andy, as his fist separated from his body, pushed Victor high into the air.
Unluck dwells in the soul.
He smiled as Andy stood as Fuko stood next to him, and he smiled with arms wide open.
And souls are what give people life. That's the kind of world I believe in. So it doesn't matter how my body gets destroyed. Just name the spot and I'll come back from it. Starting with my penis.
You know, you didn't have to go there, Andy.
So what? It's a fact. Hey, Victor.
Andy screamed out as Victor's eyes grew wide in shock.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe in reincarnation? Huh? What was that?
He started remembering his past as he was punched into his flashback by Andy. Is that... Oh my gosh, is that Tues? Wow.
You know, it's when the soul lives for a long time and you get reborn in a new body when you die.
Andy leaned his head on the back on his hands as he passed by a short-haired Tues smiling with glee.
No, I don't believe in it. Never believed in souls either, because people live because blood pumps to their brains.
Why not? Come on, believe it. It's way better than that. And why is that? Why? Well, because I'd get to see you again, of course. Don't you fret, even if I do die one day and we end up in a new body.
She said.
I swear I'll never forget you.
And as Andy's finger vaporized from Victor's cheek, he listened on to Andy's speech.
In the end, it's all a matter of how we perceive the rules. So long as we believe in that concept, our abilities develop as much as we want. And you've embodied that idea for me. So I've got to thank you, Victor. We negators can get even stronger,
he said as a plane in flames barreled right towards them, ready to crash land. However, it flew right past Andy.
Third ring!
Ah, that's the Union plane.
And the plane crashed onto Victor and pushed him in through the debris, knocking down whatever buildings were left standing.
Andy, look at that.
She pointed as the debris smoldered.
Yeah!
And in the distance, they saw Victor's head slowly smoldering.
Fourth pinky!
What now? No matter how much we beat him, he'll just come back for...
Yeah, that's true!
And a ball bounced out of the plane.
What's this?
This is when what they used when they caught...
This is what they used when they caught you, Andy.
Oh, Andy was the one that spoke this. Man, put the arrows in the right place, man.
What's this?
This is what they used when they caught you, Andy.
Fuko said, as Victor slowly started to regenerate.
So that's what you meant, is it, Jewies? You're right.
And Victor smiled as his head was placed into the Pokeball, and it slowly closed up.
These two might be,
he said as Fuko and Andy watched the Pokeball jolt once, jolt twice, jolt 3 times, and then click. And the Pokedex immediately explained who Victor is. To be continued, Undead Unluck by Yoshifumi Tosca. That was a very good arc. I like this. We really got to see Andy's past, and it was a sad one. It's really sad because he had to. He went through a heck of a lot, but the point where Fuko got started at was basically post Civil War era, and basically it's hard to explain. Not so much the setting or anything, but the direction this was going, because the whole idea was to find out and understand Andy's past, but it went in a different direction. Instead, it was Fuko understanding Andy himself, who he was, as opposed to it's more like Andy learning about himself than Fuko learning about Andy. There we go. That's what was going through my mind, and that is a very interesting approach to it, because Fuko served as our basically audience avatar to basically spirit guide us through Andy's life. We find out that Andy can speak Japanese, and he taught Miss Josh here Japanese as well, and pretty funny. Funny enough, they went with the little brackets there for the English. But what's interesting, I don't know. Well, I was kind of wondering if Annie's past, at least in terms of this book, got affected by Apocalypse, but I don't think it does or anything. 1865 is a very significant number, a very, very significant number that Andy brought up. But basically, this chapter is specific. It's just a simple pass through. Everybody trying to understand what Fuko is up to, if she's a trick, if she's trying to trick everybody. But the fascinating thing about it is how she believes in Andy, because this is nuts. She just immediately took the gun and just started firing and just started clicking it over and over and over again, and that's how much she believes in Andy, that he wouldn't ever put a person's life in danger like that. You know, it's kind of weird that, you know, Andy was trying to be all hardcore and everything because he was expecting just one click, you know. But Fuko clearly was insulted, felt insulted by that, and just went all 6 chambers, and rightfully got slapped upside the head because, you know, like Miss Josh said, what would have happened if there really was a bullet in there, you know? And it's true. Fuko went into this very, very crazy doing that, not knowing if that could have been Victor. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, in that form. It could have been Victor in that form for all she knew. So that was pretty bold, what she did there. And sadly enough, you know, everybody got killed except Fuko and Andy. And Andy went and got revenge. And that's when he realized that he was undead. Sadly enough, we didn't get everybody on the party's name. We only got Miss Josh, and then later on, what was his name? Sanders. But we didn't get the kid, the small kid. So, yeah, please start with the names first. You know, try to introduce names as soon as possible. Even if you're not giving any dialogue, you know, gosh, man, you know, I gotta hang up on that. But yeah, she stayed with Andy during the course of these years, these post team years, you know, these years after losing his friends, which is very fascinating because she's basically living his life here. She could see, you know, seeing what he's going through and experiencing. It looks like they're in Longing because that's the same statue over in Longing, unless that's no. Is that the Negator himself? Unspoiled. That's interesting. That's interesting if that's him, because he was the statue. That's interesting. But yeah, they went on adventures and everything. But as she noted, he never talked about his past. He never really talked to her during the course of the whole thing. However, and despite having new people and losing people, we established that Budweiser does actually exist in this, and and they didn't hesitate to call it Budweiser, which is hilarious. Budweiser must have paid money for that. But he did clue her in on a date. Yeah, they had a nice tender moment about death, about what it means to die and everything, which is a nice moment. You know, the two of them really did bond very much, and they were ready to kiss. You know, like Fuko. Most definitely, this is a nice little moment there. You know, when he gently takes her hand, like, yeah, he really. This is where the love really connects. They really start falling in love with each other, and that's a very nice drawing. You know what I'm saying? Very well done drawing, really captures the moment and everything. Very, very nice. Very well done. It's very well done overall. And that's when he gives her, I think he gave her the date. Where was this at? Because that's the one that caught my attention, and that date was April 15th, 1865. That was the first time he clued her in on something. Let's see. Was it in this chapter? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was what I was looking at. But we were just looking at it. April 15th, Washington, D.C., 1865. I think I know. I think I have a feeling what that date is. I think that was Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Yes, it was. It was the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. That caught my attention, and my brain is like, whoa. Yeah, see? Abraham Lincoln, April 14th, 1865. Was he Abraham Lincoln? That would be funny if that was the case. Because it looked like that's what was going to happen when Foucault vanished and ended up in another and ended up back in time. It looked like she went further back. Of course, they're in big trouble because Under showed up. found unknown and and we're ready to attack, but she was able to convince them not to do it, thankfully. So Fuko could still continue on, but yeah, she made it to the Ford Theater, clearly the Ford Theater, and was about to witness something very big. And I think Andy is supposed to be Abraham Lincoln. He's supposed to be Abraham Lincoln. Nice drawing of the Ford Theater, quite honestly. But yeah, this was the moment. This was the moment. That would be cool. Andy's Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. He was a vampire hunter. He was a wrestler, a lawyer, president of the United States, and undead. And I think he took on some werewolves too. Zombie hunter. But nevertheless, Victor shows up and he wanted to get rid of her, and so we spend the next set of panels of him basically snuffing her out and pushing her ahead to each chapter to keep her away from the truth, and got her to what was the present day. It was supposed, which was the day they met, August 1st, 2020. That her and Andy would meet, and my man. Victor with this next level attack here, this level 3 critical arts here. He's like, screw this, I'm destroying the world, and this is amazing. Not only does he look scary here, he is so freaking scary. Like, I don't want to mess with this guy type of scary. But he just made his blood stretch out like a whip and sliced off all those buildings. Thankfully, it's just a dream, but I can't imagine him. But imagine him actually doing it in the real world. If he is capable of doing this in here, is he capable of doing it in the real world? That's frightening, and all the more reason he cannot be let out whatsoever. And basically, we have a Superman 3 moment where Clark Kent took on Superman, very drunken Superman. But yeah, Victor and Andy have their Superman 3 moment, their Superman 3 fight. First of all, before I continue, I like this panel. This is a pretty cool panel. This is definitely a very cool panel. Look how nice and detailed that is, with the slicing. Like, you can see the slicing, and then you see the details of the buildings in between that slice. You see all the people on the bridge there. You see the buildings flying up in the air. Not only that, but you also see blood. Because clearly that's all blood, and that's people who were sitting in those seats and standing in those floors, and they got sliced in half. Same here with the train, since that's where everybody will be sitting. They got sliced, and their blood is flying all over the place. It's very noticeable and very well done. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, from this point, Andy and Victor have themselves a Superman 3 fight. Clark Kent versus Drunken Superman. And pretty epic. It was a pretty epic battle. It turns out that despite the fact that, as noted by Unknown, his memories with Fuko are not really real. It's just in his dream. But the context of Fuko and her feelings towards him reverberated through his dream. So, he's like, oh yeah, I like this woman. I'm in love with her. And the two of them have a very excellent fight. I really like, this was a very, very good fight. Very creative use of their finger bullets. Very gruesome looking. Very graphic. I mean, just look how graphic this is. Just look at, he just goes like this, and his fingers snap off. Just like that. And then he just Gatling gunning Andy down, and Andy's twisting his leg, and bouncing off of it like a spring, as you can see right there to the left. And he, of course, popped up right behind him, and they get into this wicked blood sword fight. Most excellent, man. Most excellent. The pacing was good. I didn't lose track of anything. I didn't lose track of wherever. Really well done. Victor and Andy having introspection and existential crisis as they're beating each other up. what a mind game. Battle of the Minds. Battle of the Minds. Hands down. Hands down. Oh man. And ultimately, they get into your typical shonen geyser fight, energy blast fight, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. And Andy established his trust in Fuko, and have Fuko trust in him, and this led to that nice little tender kiss, just like that. And Andy's about to deliver his most powerful attack yet, which turned out to be a giant plane. It turned out to be a very, very giant plane. Not really, but he kind of pulled a Wanted. If you ever seen or read the comic, the Wanted, or saw the movie Wanted, curving the bullet. That's what he did with his fingers, and then he just turned them into remote controlled bombs. Pretty funny as this train bashed their heads off. And what does Andy do? He smiles. His head is smiling. But what's awesome, at least until we see it actually translated in real world, because this is still in his mind, but he's like, yeah, I can repair my torso from my head. So he doesn't have to pop his head up from his body. He can, from whatever body part if he shatters into a million pieces, he could pick any body part that he can regenerate from. That is insane. He leveled up big time, and as he said, wicked sick. So in terms of Andy getting better and better, it is much improved. Obviously, this was Juice. This is her outfit. That's her helmet. She was very, very happy. And I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened between these two. It's very sad, honestly. Something sad happened. And definitely can't wait to see what that is when they meet, if they ever meet. Because, they successfully sent the plane on Victor's head. The only way to beat him is drop a plane on his head. Drop a plane on his head, and ultimately, in the end, they capture him in a Pokeball, just like what happened with Andy. And basically, Andy won the Battle of the Minds. That's a cool ending. That's a cool way to end that arc. That was a very good arc, man. Really well done. Really, really well executed. Well paced. Still, again, the character naming, name the characters. If you're gonna kill them off, please do that. Ultimately, this was a nicely done mind battle. Very well executed fighting. Lots of inventive creativeness. Most importantly, great use of the environment and backgrounds. I always say you got to use your environment and backgrounds. Shonen writers out there, don't just stay in one spot and that's it. That's a boring fight. Go all over the place. Go all out. Oh, man. So, I can't wait. We're almost there. The final 8 chapters, man. Final 8 chapters. And it's going to end. It's going to end good. I know it's going to end good. So, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow. You want to. And head on over to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Grab yourself a copy of the Impossible Man Strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find a link down in the description below, along with links to other merch such as pins, t-shirts, stickers, music. If you understood everything, understand in the comments below. Also, if you're interested, you can volunteer over on my Patreon. If you're interested in volunteering and doing fun stuff, extra stuff over on the Patreon, you're more than welcome to. And if you want to hang out with me on my live multi-streams, head on over to Twitch and Kick. Pick any one you want. Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to seeing you in the chat rooms. All right, until the next set of chapters. Thank you all for joining me. Be sure to support the release. And I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasuminasai.